Alright, so picking up from the last video, we at Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 15. Alright, so if you have not watched the last video, go watch the last video. That way you can follow. We are at where Moses is about to start giving the statutes and judgments out in the commandments that Yahuah gave him to give to the children of Israel before they went into the promised land. Okay? Alright, so verse 15 says, "Take careful heed to yourselves, for you saw no form when Yahuah spoke to you at Horeb out of the midst of the fire." Alright? He says, "Lest you act corruptly and make for yourselves a carved image in the form of any figure." The likeness, and then he go on to name a few examples. He says the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any animal that is on the earth, or the likeness of any winged bird that flies in the air, the likeness of anything that creeps on the ground, or the likeness of any fish that is in the water beneath the earth. And then he go on to say, "And take heed lest you lift your eyes to heaven, and when you see the sun, the moon, and the stars, and all the host of heaven," the universe is an example right here. And he says, "and you feel driven to worship them and serve them, which Yahuah your Elohim has given to all the peoples under the whole heaven as a heritage." All right, so he told him, he said, "You didn't see a form when I spoke with you on the mountain. You saw the clouds, you saw all of that around me. I didn't even let you see me. So do not take upon yourself to create any image, any carved image, and any likeness in honor or to serve it as me." So that can be your cross necklaces. I've seen so many variations of images that people use, even on their, I know I see a lot on like bumper stickers. I think that's what you call them. Like the little fish symbol. I've seen some, many different things. Many different things. So it could be more. I'm sure there's so many more that I may not even know of. But if you have anything and you say you worship that thing, or you give it a place that only Yahuah should have as your protector, as your father, as the creator, he is the only one. And he will make that clear. Because he said that he is one and there's none beside him. So the worship of stars, the worship of the sun, the worship of the universe, the worship of any image, any animal, anything in place of Yahuah, Elohim, creator of all, it's considered idolatry. Okay, so let's keep going. He says, "But Yahuah has taken you and brought you out of the iron furnace, out of Egypt, to be his people, an inheritance as you are this day." He says, "Furthermore, Yahuah was angry with me for your sake." This is Moses speaking. So he going to say Yahuah was angry with him for their sake, and swore that he would not cross over the Jordan, and that I will not enter the good land which Yahuah your Elohim is giving you as an inheritance. Okay. All right. So he says, "But I must die in this land. I must not cross over the Jordan, but you shall cross over and possess that good land." All right. He says, "Take heed to yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of Yahuah your Elohim, which he made with you, and make for yourselves a carved image in the form of anything which Yahuah your Elohim has forbidden you, He says, for Yahuah Yah Elohim is a consuming fire, a jealous God. He says, when you beget children, okay. So he says, when you beget children, when you have children and grandchildren and have grown old in the land and act corruptly and make a carved image in the form of anything and do evil in the sight of Yahuah Yah Elohim, your Elohim, to provoke him to anger. He says, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day that you will soon utterly perish from the land which you cross over the Jordan to possess. He says, you will not prolong your days in it, but will be utterly destroyed. All right. Verse 27. He says, and Yahuah will scatter you among the people, and you will be left few in number among the nations where Yahuah will drive you. And there you will serve gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see nor hear nor eat nor smell. So you're going to serve you. He said, you're going to serve these things when you get cast out the land. You're going to start serving gods and idols, things that men create with their hands. That can't see, they can't hear, can't smell. And then he says, but from there you will seek Yahuah your Elohim, and you will find him if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul. He says, when you are in distress and all these things come upon you in the latter days, when you turn to Yahuah your Elohim and obey his voice, for Yahuah your Elohim is a merciful Elohim. He will not forsake you, nor destroy you, nor forget the covenant of your fathers, which he swore to them. And then he going to say, for ask now concerning the days that are past, which were before you, since the day that Elohim created man on earth, and asked from one end of heaven to another, whether any great thing like this has happened, or anything like it has been heard. He says, did any people ever hear the voice of Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire, as you have heard, and live? Or did Elohim ever try to go and take for himself a nation from the midst of another nation, by trials, by signs, by wonders, by war, by a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, and by great terrors, according to all that Yahuah your Elohim did for you in Egypt, before your eyes? He says, to you it was shown, that you might know that Yahuah himself is Elohim, that there is none other besides him. There is none other besides him. Not Allah, Buddha, none of them folks, none of them. None. There is none other besides him. He is the one and only Elohim, y'all. The true Elohim, the living Elohim, the one who created all things, who knows the end to the beginning to the end, and all in between, the one who wrote it all, okay? He says, out of heaven, he lets you hear his voice, that he might instruct you. On earth, he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words out of the midst of the fire. And because he loved your fathers, therefore he chose their descendants after them, and he brought you up out of Egypt with his presence, with his mighty power, driving out from before you nations greater and mightier than you, to bring you in, to give you their land as an inheritance, as it is this day. All right. He says, therefore know this day and consider it in your heart, that Yahuah himself is Elohim in heaven above and on the earth beneath. There is no other. He says, you shall therefore keep his statutes and his commandments, which I command you today, that it may go well with you and with your children after you, and that you may prolong your days in the land which Yahuah your Elohim is giving you for all time. Then Moses set apart 3 cities on this side of the Jordan toward the rising of the sun, that the manslayers might flee there, who kills his neighbor unintentionally, without having hated him in the time past, and that by fleeing to one of these cities he might live. Okay, so if you're not aware, you will be made aware if you just keep watching this series. This was part of the commandments. This was part of the statutes and judgments. So one of the commandments or statutes or judgments, part of the kingdom on earth, was that when they entered the land that Yahuah blessed them with, he multiplied them. He told them to build 3 cities. Mind you, they had money. Let's talk about it. They had money. We supposed to have money, y'all. Blessed. The blessings. I can't wait to get to that part. But anywho, he told them to build 3 cities, so that if, one of the men are out working and they accidentally kill their brother or neighbor with the axe by cutting down trees or some form of work where they accidentally kill their brother, he told them they will have these, either one of the 3 cities, whichever was closest to them, that they could flee there and they would stay there. And it was considered a cities of refuge. Cities of refuge. So, and he's talking about it right here. So, which, like I said, if you do not know about that part, we will get to it. That's a part, that was a thing. That was a part of the kingdom culture on earth, that wherever they go, that they would build 3 cities outside of where they normally would live. That if anything happened like that, that they could have somewhere to go and be safe and not have to worry about, they would be protected. They won't have to worry about being murdered or given over by the elders, because, yeah, we'll go more into it when we get to it. I don't want to go ahead of myself. All right, so verse 43. Bezer in the wilderness on the plateau for the Reubenites, or Bezer. Okay, that was one of the cities right here. Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan for the Manassites, whatever. Yeah. Manassites. I'm going to say that. So, these were 3 that Moses set apart. Okay. Okay. So, verse 44. He says, now this is the law which Moses set before the children of Israel. These are the testimonies, the statutes, and the judgment which Moses spoke to the children of Israel after they came out of Egypt, on this side of the Jordan, in the valley opposite Beth Peor, in the land of Shihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt at Heshbon, whom Moses and the children of Israel defeated after they came out of Egypt. And they took possession of his land. They took possession of his land and the land of Og, king of Bashan, 2 kings of the Amorites, who were on this side of the Jordan, toward the rising of the sun, from Aroer. Don't quote me. Which is on the bank of the river Arnon, even to Mount Sion, that is Hermon. As you know, that mountain has like 2 or 3 different names, but it's the same mountain. And all of the plain on the east side of the Jordan, as far as the sea of Araba, below the slopes of Pisgah, the mountain that you will see that Yahuah told Moses to stand upon to see the land that they were about to enter into. All right, and that's it for this video. Stay tuned if you have not watched the other videos. I'm telling you, you want to follow the series. Again, this series is about the commandments, the laws, the statutes, the judgments that Yahuah had given to the children of Israel for all generations to keep. And I know a lot of people had questions on which ones are we supposed to keep? Are we even supposed to still keep it? So my intention of doing this series is to bless even one person, but I've blessed many people to hear the truth. If you've never heard the truth, I know growing up, I didn't hear Deuteronomy read. I didn't even know about Deuteronomy. It was only the New Testament that I really heard, to be honest. So yeah, I'm excited. I feel very excited. I supposed to have been did this, but I'm excited. I feel really excited. So my other goal or intention of making this series is to encourage people that to seek Yahuah, to know like the truth, to hunger for truth, to desire truth, and to live in the truth, and be set free and live in peace and joy and righteousness, and to pass it on to other people. Hallelujah. So yes, if you have not watched the other videos, like I said, go back to the first. There's 2 videos before this one. So go back and watch those in order, preferably, because we're going to read it chapter by chapter. And, I may have some questions that I will cause you to ponder upon. I don't know. We're just going to go with the Holy Spirit on it. All right. Shalom, y'all.